The fifth and final tool is around agreements versus expectations. And while this can be used in the moment, it's something that is a practice I encourage you to incorporate daily. And once you start down this path, you can really lean into, okay, am I making an agreement here versus an expectation? And I'll explain what this means. So, too often in life, we go through each moment and every interaction experience we have an expectation. You walk into Starbucks and there's expectations around what's it smell like in there? How's the service? Is there music? Are they friendly? Do they ask for your name? How quickly are you getting it? Does it taste the same as it did yesterday? You have a lot of expectations around how you're treated, what the environment's like, what the atmosphere is like. And if something is slightly off, we get frustrated or we get angry. And it disrupts us. And this is where agreements come in because, well, that's a silly example, although very realistic and very true for a lot of us. It's even harder when it's a family member or a coworker or your husband or wife or romantic partner. And when we really think about it, we have expectations all over the place. And here's the real serious danger with expectations. And I'm not going to get too deep into this because this is a bigger topic, but I call it the triple train. And the triple train is that we start with an assumption, right? An assumption is very quickly leads us into an expectation. And when we have enough expectations or a strong enough singular expectation around something, it leads to us being entitled. Entitlement is a very dangerous place to live. Because that quickly leads us down the path of resentment and then to contempt. And when we reach the point of contempt, it's almost impossible to turn around and to backpedal. And nothing good happens from that place of resentment and contempt. We feel justified. We feel we're right, everybody else is wrong. And we stop being curious. And we completely step out of the present moment and we have no more choice. So while we're talking about expectations, it really starts with assumptions. That's the beginning. That's the precursor. But expectations is where we end up landing. This is where we live. This is why we're talking about expectations. We live in this land of expectations. You walk in the door at your office and just think about all the expectations around who you're going to meet, what they're going to say, how they're going to respond, are they going to smile, is their coffee made, is the fridge clean, on and on and on. And instead of having expectations, when we make agreements, it starts to change everything because an agreement is no longer, or an expectation is really one-sided. There was no conversation. There was no back and forth. Just one person who has feelings or is assuming or expecting something. Doesn't have to be verbalized. It's just how they feel, how they believe. Or an agreement, it takes some back and forth. It takes some banter. It takes two sides coming to some sort of middle ground to have an agreement. And then when an agreement is made, now we can actually have boundaries. Now we can have natural consequences. Now we can understand each other better. We can operate from a foundation that we both sides understand. And there's nothing left unsaid, and there's no like hoping that you understand, what I believe or what I think or how I feel. We have an agreement. And while it may seem like no big deal on the surface, it is tough to make agreements in your life all the time. And yet, once you start, there's no other way to live. So I encourage you, the next time you get frustrated, get angry, and yet you've actually never made an agreement. They're really expectations. And even if you feel strongly about it, like that person grew up in this way, they should know better. Okay, that's great. That's how you feel. And if you really feel a certain way, have a conversation. Turn it into an agreement. Maybe they don't feel the same way, or their life experiences are totally different. And something that's important to you is not important to somebody else. And that's okay. Be curious, be open to that. But if something is really important to you, make an agreement with somebody, whether it's your kids or your partner or your coworkers or your family. And you're going to find that as you step into agreement making, these other tools aren't even necessary because it tees you up for success in life. So make agreements, not expectations.